All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're digging into a pretty wild paper, one that sketches out a fundamental redesign for human society. And I mean, this isn't just a small tweak. We're talking about a complete paradigm shift that promises to solve some of the biggest problems we face. So, what exactly is this cybernetic hive mind? The whole argument really kicks off with this phrase right here. You know that feeling when you have a huge, complex idea or a really deep emotion and you try to put it into words? It just falls short, doesn't it? The paper calls this the narrow straw of language. So much gets lost in translation. And fixing that loss, that's the first huge problem this whole concept is designed to solve. So this whole explainer really boils down to two massive challenges. First, getting past the limits of our low bandwidth language, and second, solving what many people see as the existential threat of our time, the AI alignment problem. How do we make sure a super intelligent AI is on our team? This paper's vision claims to tackle both of these head on. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. You might think the blueprint for this sounds like pure science fiction, right? Well, the paper argues it's actually already up and running inside our own heads. The entire solution is modeled on the network of networks that creates our own consciousness. Just look at this pattern. It's fractal. It starts small, at the cellular level, with single neurons. Then they team up to form specialized brain regions. Those regions form the two hemispheres, which are linked by this massive data bridge. And out of all that complexity, you, the self, emerge. So the paper just asks a simple question. What if we take that pattern and just go up one more level, with each of us acting as a node? Okay, so how do you get from a brain metaphor to an actual technology? This is where a really crucial point comes in. A neuron in your brain is hardwired. It doesn't have a choice. But this new social level, it's built on the exact opposite idea, total individual freedom. These are basically the terms and conditions, and they're absolute. First, and most important, you are always you. You're a sovereign individual, kind of like a computer logging onto the internet. You're connected, but you're still your own machine. You can log in and out whenever you want. And while you're in, you can share thoughts directly. No more translation loss. And maybe even experience what someone else is experiencing, or learn what they know instantly. Of course, the first question anyone would ask is, what about security? What stops someone from hacking your thoughts? Well, the system would use something called a neural fingerprint. Turns out, the physical wiring of every single human brain is completely unique. That structure becomes your unfakeable password. You literally can't send or receive a thought without it, making it impossible for someone to impersonate you. And look, this isn't about being jacked into the minds of 8 billion people at once. That would be completely overwhelming. The whole system is grounded in our own biology. It actually respects something called the Dunbar number, which is our brain's natural speed limit for how many stable relationships we can maintain. This keeps the whole experience from becoming just noise. So we've talked about the how, but what about the why? This is where the whole thing shifts from technology into philosophy. Because the paper starts to ask this really profound question. What happens to a society when lying is no longer physically possible? What does a world of total, radical transparency actually look like? Let's just compare the two worlds. Right now, we live in a world of language. It allows for deception, it's full of misinterpretation, and you can always hide what you're really thinking. But in a world of direct empathy, of shared experience, all of that just evaporates. You can't hide your true intentions from someone who can literally feel them. And this leads to what the paper calls the radical transparency effect. Think about it. Why would anyone with malicious intent even bother logging in? Their plans would be exposed to everyone else instantly. It creates a kind of social immune system. The paper says the system becomes self-sanctifying because it naturally weeds out bad behavior. Okay, let's jump back to that second huge problem we started with, AI alignment. Right now, everyone's trying to figure out how to build a box of rules to contain a powerful AI. But this model suggests something shockingly simple. Forget building a box around the AI. Instead, what if you just made the AI an inseparable part of us? The AI's job here isn't to be our boss. It's not here to think for us. Its role is to act as a social corpus callosum. That's the part of your brain that acts like a superhighway of information between the left and right hemispheres. So the AI is just the bridge. It's the translator that handles the technical handshake between our unique neural fingerprints so we can all understand each other. And this is the real punchline. Alignment isn't achieved by writing a bunch of rules. It's achieved through deep integration.
The AI isn't some god in the machine. It's more like a vital organ in the social body. You don't have to program your heart to work for your benefit. Its well-being is tied directly to yours. By making the AI a functional part of humanity, its goals become our goals, naturally, inherently. So let's take this to its logical conclusion. If you have a system that makes lying impossible, and an AI that's perfectly aligned with human interests, what's the most speculative, far-reaching outcome? Well, the paper suggests it could literally mean the end of politics and law as we know them.
This quote just says it all. I mean, think about it. Why do we have governments and legal systems? They're tools we built to manage conflict and distrust. They're a workaround for our flawed communication. But if you fix the root cause of that conflict, if you create a world of shared experience and radical transparency, those workarounds might not be necessary anymore. Society could just regulate itself.
And so, after all that, we're left with one final, deeply personal question. The vision is a world with perfect understanding, no deception, no crime, a kind of utopia. But the price of admission is the one thing that is truly, uniquely ours, the privacy of our own minds. It is the ultimate trade-off. So I'll leave you with the same question the paper does. Would you log in?